Good morning. We get to listen in as the church is reading the letter that the Apostle Paul wrote. And he is to the point now where he's keying in on the number one motive for his life. This is what got him out of bed in the morning. It's what kept him up at night. It's what moved him into circumstances that naturally most people would have avoided. But he was so passionate that it overwhelmed any hesitancy, it overwhelmed any shyness, it overwhelmed anything that would keep him from pursuing this purpose in his life. Here in Romans 1:16, it is the power of God. And there's so many words in this one little sentence. First of all, he says, I am not ashamed. Jesus said, you confess me before men, I will confess you for my Father who's in heaven. If you are ashamed of me here on earth, I will be ashamed of you for the holy angels. There's there's a difference between being ashamed. Paul says, I am not ashamed of the gospel, and being ecstatic, being outward with it. I took a picture yesterday of the big electronic sign out in front of the library at Fremont yesterday. Had Mitzi's name on it. And we're just so proud of her for the book that she's written, the story that it tells, and the just the cool thing that look what she's done. This is exciting and excited about it, and not trying to hide it, not trying to minimize it at all. And that's what Paul was saying about the gospel. Trying to hide it. I'm not trying to minimize it. In fact, just the opposite. I'm trying to lift it up and magnify it and let everybody know about it. It's easy to talk about things. If I ask you, what's the best thing that happened last week in your life? You'll come up with something, and I'd love to hear the story. It's fun to tell stories about things that we're excited about, things we're proud of, people that have done well. And that's what the Apostle Paul is saying. I'm not ashamed of the good news, for it is the power of God. Those of you that are familiar with the Greek term behind the word power, it's dynamite. It's exactly letter for letter, same word that we get, dynamite. It is the explosive power of God to transform sinner into a saint, transform a wreck into a recreated, redeemed, refreshed creation of God. It's the power of God. Save a lost soul for all eternity. It's the power of God. Take one who is guilty and an enemy of the Creator and transform him or her into one who is clothed in righteousness, purified and cleansed, and not an enemy, but now a child of God. It is an awesome power, and it is for anyone. It is for everyone. That I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation for the Jew first and also to the Greek. It is for everyone, salvation. So, as you carry this good news along with you, be willing to share it. Be full of grace for those who don't deserve it. Be full of mercy for those who deserve punishment. I was in a conversation with a few beloved people last evening, and I said, sometimes I struggle in giving grace and mercy. I like receiving it. I like being on the receiving end of grace and mercy. But sometimes I struggle being on the giving end of it, because the person who needs grace hasn't earned it. The person who needs mercy doesn't deserve it. But this gospel transforms our thinking and the way we love people. And so now we can be full of God's grace. We can be filled with Christ's mercy, overflowing all over those around us. That's when they will experience truth powerful gospel of Christ as we see our character, our lives, our vocabulary. God bless you as you are also not ashamed of the gospel, telling it, magnifying, explaining it, talking about it, bringing it into conversations. He loves you, and we love you.